Good morning. Today we're going to be learning what is a shogeg when it comes to korbonos. Now, we're going to start with the Rambam Hilchos Perek Zayin, Halacha Beis and Gimel, and that'll segue to various Rambams in different places, specifically Perek Beis above, and then Hilchos Shavuos, various Perokim there, to get a picture of what is a shogeg, because it's a big discussion. Now, when it comes to Shabbos, there's a unique situation. And that can be translated in other places too, but the Shabbos is very clear cut. There is Shabbos and there's Malachas. And that will, so you can have a shogeg by not knowing it's Shabbos or thinking it's not Shabbos. Or you can have a shogeg and not knowing that it's a Malacha, or not knowing that Malachas are also. And that's Perek Zayin, Halacha Beis and Gimel, as to which of these shogegos and Shabbos is the cause of your korban. And that'll depend on, if you do many malachas, how many korbonos do you bring? So, for instance, he starts off, somebody who doesn't know the Shabbos, and even if he does tons of malachas, one korban counts. And the same thing, this guy who never knew anything about the Torah, a guy who grew up assimilated in some hick town, or a guy who became a ger but assimilated in some hick town, never learned anything about Judaism. So the Rambam says here, if he eats at McDonald's every day, he's only had one chatas for his whole life. But if he knows it's Shabbos, but his calendar went off, he thought that today was Friday, and the same thing next week, he thought it was Friday. Mixed up Shabbos and Friday. Now, I think it's better in America, Shabbos and Sunday. He saw cars going all over the place on Shabbos. He knew it was Shabbos, you can't do anything. So but sees everybody's driving, so it must not be Shabbos. Sunday, everything's quiet. It must be Shabbos. So, and then for each Shabbos, he'll be chayiv. Because between the Shabbos, he knew that there was a Shabbos that passed. And then there's a case where he knows it's Shabbos, but he just doesn't know about the malachas. Now, what does it mean that he doesn't know about the malachas? Doesn't know they're usher, or he doesn't know they're chayiv chorus, he says. Then you're chayiv for each malacha. Because you knew the Shabbos, each malacha, that's a shogeg. Now, the Rambam very clearly states that the only thing that will make it a shogeg is one of two things. You don't know the Aveira, you don't know the Yechayiv al Karas. Now, why is Karas, not knowing Karas, so important to us? So, we have to come up with an explanation of that. It's not so posh. Let's go back. Now we're going to start a journey of Rambams on this concept. He already said in Perek Beis, Halacha Beis, person was Ever Aveira, and he knows that it's us. He knows it's us. I'm not allowed to do this. He doesn't know Chayiv Kares. That's a shogeg. Now he knows he's amazing. He knows he's being against the Eibishter's will. Doesn't matter. Here goes a second point. This is a machlekes in the Gemara between Mumbaz and the Chachamim. What happens? He knows there's Kares, but you just don't know that you have a carbon on this. So the Rambam says these are the words of Rambam. Why? Sheshigigas korban eino shogeg ba'averis elu shechayovim alein kares. And avera yechay kares shigas korban is not a shogeg. Now it would seem from the way the Rambam postures the halacha that shigas korban is a good shogeg. Just in a case where you're chayiv all of kares, then it's not. Now, to note that this rule is not always, meaning the source of this halacha is the meaning is there are a number of cases where you're only chayiv on a lav alone. One of them is shuas bitui. I make a shua that I'm not going to eat chasush. I'm going to eat. Later, and I decide I'm hungry. I want to eat. So you go and eat. You go and eat. Yeah, you go and eat. And then is that if you so what I didn't know that that's us. I forgot totally that there's an issue of that there's something wrong with what I'm doing. You're not going to be chayiv if you forgot, because by Shiur there's a special halacha. Ha'odam b'Shiur. Now, is it a special halacha? Is it a regular einus? It's not. It's not for now. But you need to know something. So the Gemara says, "What did you know?" Gemara says that in this case, shigigas korban is a shogeg, which is what the Rambam is referring to when he says shigigas korban is a shogeg. There is elu, but there is some that are. That's what the Lech Mishnah says. Now, if you look at the Gemara it says doesn't say it that way. The Gemara says not that in these places shigigas korban is. The Gemara says like this. Ad kan le pligi rabbanon. So we're in Shavuos and in Shabbos somewhat the similar lashon. Ad kan le pligi rabbanon let the mumbas who says shigas korban shmei shogeg ela b'chalater kula d'lav chiddush. But it's not a chiddush. Halacha chiddush. B'chalater kula the whole Torah ashkan lav the ma'aseh korban. Yalfinam avodah zarah. You learn out from avodah zarah that you need kares. This is a unique case. So if you read the Gemara, it's not shot that shigas korban is shogeg b'averis elu. It's shigas korban not a shogeg in a chiddush. In the case of chiddush, there we say that's a whole different. It's a new concept. New concept. Rashi says lav the ma'aseh korban b'lo kares. Okay, so that's just basic. We'll get into more now. Let's move to other Rambams. There are 3 halachas. There's literally 2, but let's talk 3. In Hilchos Shavuos, the Rambam mentions 3 types of Shavuos that you bring a korban even though there's no kares. Shavuos haPikodon. The halacha is that you bring a korban. And when do you bring the korban? Bein b'mezid and bein b'shogeg. And what kind of shogeg is there? So he says, I'm shogeg v'shochach sheyesh li etz le'mona v'kavim nidra. That's an honest. He's not amazing, he's an honest. Then he says, "Oh, if so, how is there shus abikon?" You don't remember if you have carbon. That's the shogeg. Uzadayna sheyada shechayav carbon. Okay, that's one. Then there's shus edus, and again, shus edus that you have bein zodden or bein shogeg. You bring a carbon. Same thing. And there again, he writes, how is this shogeg? He forgot there's a carbon. So we have two. Now, number three is, now, for some strange reason, at this point, the Rambam doesn't talk about what's the shogeg of shuas shuas bitui, even though he mentioned it in the beginning of the parak. Where does he speak about it? Two Perokim later, Perlstein, where he tells you clearly, who is al shogeg ketzad, which you think he's giving you the cases where you're sure. No, telling you, no, these are all cases that he gives you there in Halacha Vav that don't bring a carbon. But Halacha Zayin Kain Ezehu Shigya Shuas Bitoy Shelam Kamel V'Yay L'Sha'avar Kashenishba Shlei Achal V'Yayet Deyet Sha'achal Shuas Shekes Nishba Surah Avlayada Shacham like Zuyash Gogish Gavan Karmel V'Yay L'Shuas Bitoy L'Sha'avar. He's going on back on the Sha'avar. And he didn't know that he didn't do it. Well, and that's just that's again Adam B'Shur. So, bottom line is, we need to understand what's going on. And I'll mention a couple of questions that are asked, and then what we mentioned. The Ritva asks, I understand. We have a klal in the Gemara. He uses a different lashon, but the klal ain't lach b'yel chidusha. So just because the Gemara says chidushu, therefore we make a new din. What kind of halacha is this? What kind of swear is this? Chidush means ain't lach b'yel chidusha. It's a chidush, so don't touch it. So he learns chidush doesn't mean chidush. It means that since there's only thing is there is a lot and a shogeg and a carbon. And since the only way you can be chayiv is by not knowing the carbon, so that's what it means. But the Lashon HaGemara, and it's a little strange, interesting. The Rambam doesn't bring it either, so could be that's what he means. Seif HaYelas HaShachar. He's ma'ir kasha that always has bothered me. Not knowing a carbon, what is not knowing chorus means I don't really know the severity of the sin. Not knowing a shogeg, a carbon, the severity, that doesn't do with the severity of the sin. Carbon, there's a kapara. Why does it have to do with the severity of the sin? Now, then we ask the question, and the Rambam doesn't seem to fit with the Gemara. The Rambam seems to say that shigas, that should, in a case where this car is then shigas carbon not, but otherwise shigas carbon should be a shogeg. In other words, and why does he say it's a chidush? And what is talking the Rambam sorry? That there is elu shigas carbon shogeg. If he taka doesn't mean the Lashon HaGemara. And then the question that we had: why didn't he mention in Perek Aleph what shuas bitui is? Why does he separate them? And then I mentioned that there are not only one case where there's a lot and you bring a carbon. There are three cases that I know of, maybe four. So that question that Rosh Yosef asks, and he says, first of all, by Shua Seidus, so he says, the only one is really Shua Seidus because he bring a chatos everywhere. But there is Zavin Kishgaga. Okay, so what? So what? I just note, some Sefer says that having two other cases doesn't make it still keeps it as a Chiddush. and he brings Rayas from other places, so that's not for our discussion. Now, we could have said that the Rambam means that Shigas Korban, when there's chorus, is not a shogeg. It would be very nice. But the only thing is he doesn't say it. doesn't sound like that in the words, is that the fact that I know it's a chorus, I know it's so chumrah, not knowing a shogeg, not knowing a korban doesn't take away from the knowledge of the severity. But if there is no chorus, and I don't know there's a korban, so that means I'm not getting the picture of the korban. But again, that's not the losh of the Ram. Shigas korban einish goga, various aim, not because maybe you should have read shigas korban einish goga, maybe a dias chorus. She actually in the cars. That's what you should have said. It's not that. It's the various sales should go in cars. So I want to just go back now. Hilchos Gogas, back to our Hilchos Gogas, but in Perek Aleph, and read a few Rambams to you. And I think the Rambams jump out of the page. First of all, what do you need to be chayav? Which averos are chayav chatos usually? So Rambam says, "Kol ha'oiver b'shgoga." Somebody who doesn't have b'shgoga. Al achas min mitzvos lo yisasei. Sheyesh b'maisa 2. Shechayav malav kares 3. There's a chayav lahakar korban kares. Then he writes another line right after it. Umitzvos asay sheyakim chatosei al shegegos. He just said chayav chatos. He should have said umitzvos asay sheyakim chatos. Halacha base. But then he has to qualify it. Chutz v'shalosh averos that he mentioned. Gadim mevatel mila v'korban pesach. Why do you have to say that? You just said before. There's the ma'aser. Chorus is 1 of 3. Now he isolates chorus. Now he has a caption. Why he's not? Very simple. Read down what you just said before. Now look, Aleph. Hey, go that whole halacha explaining why these 3. Why do you do that? And halacha gimel again. Kol krisos shebetayr chutz mishalosh krisos shebiyarno, except for these shalosh krisos megadim vatel mila korban pesach. Bring chatos kua chutz mitama shachal kodesh domish nichs l'mikdash shnei mevin chatos kua. No mention of Shavuos Vitri. I agree. Even though they're Sailavi, but there he mentioned in Perek IYUN. So all these need to be understood in the Rambam. Why does he do this? So it would seem, again, I can't explain it. I'm just going to tell you what it says here. It would seem that although there are 3 conditions for chiyuv, for a chatos in general, but the Lashon HaGemara in Shabbos is hukshu kulam lavei zora malahalan dovish achayav malzadeinei koras v'shegegosei chatos. The mechayiv of koras is the mechayiv of chatos is the deinei koras. There are other conditions, but that's not the mechayiv. That's not what makes you chayiv, and that's why the Rambam postures that way. The others explain. If you don't have this, if you don't have anything, you're not have anything. The same thing. There's not going to be a lot. That's side points. The main point is chorus. That's why he stresses a chorus. It could be. That's what the 2 things are. The mechayiv of chatos is chorus. The chiyuv on the person is the fact that he's a shogeg. That's why the mitzvah lahavi chatos al shogegos. The mechayiv of the chatos, what makes you a shogeg is the fact that you don't know that it's chorus. And if you know it's a lot, it's even worse. You don't know it's chorus. That's why he stresses chorus. However, once you've been classified as a shogeg, now you have a mitzvah to bring a korban. First question is, what makes you a shogeg? What makes you a shogeg is the lack of chorus. Lack of chorus. Now, There are conditions where that lack of chorus will work, but that's what makes her shogeg. And once you're a shogeg, then you have to make a korban. That makes you the mechayiv is shogeg. Now, and that's why he separated Shuas Bitui from the other cases, Shuas Eidus, Shuas Bikon. Because there, Yichayim, amazing, that's the word that maybe to us, the Shesa says. Yichayim, amazing. You have different chiyuvim there. Here, Shuas Bitui, it doesn't have a mechayiv. Doesn't have the mechayiv of chorus, and therefore can't create the shogeg. There's nothing to create the shogeg. All right, so the Rambam obviously could be with the Ritvazi say that the word chidush doesn't mean a chidush. Just that you have a chatos without the mechayiv of chatos, without the mechayiv of shogeg, without the definition of shogeg. So therefore, it's a different type of korban chatos, and that's why it doesn't belong here; it belongs in Perokim. So now let's understand. Shias chorus is a shogeg. Nothing to do with the severity. It has to do because you don't have an aveira that's mechayiv chorus. You're lacking. You don't have that aveira. It's not there. In your mind, there's no such an aveira, and that's not a shogeg. That's why it's a shogeg. Shias chorus have is considered because you don't have the mechayiv. You're not aware of the mechayiv of the korban. So it doesn't make you that is your shogeg. Shogeg in what's mechayiv, and therefore, even though you know it's usher, you know you're doing an aveira, but the part that has to do with the korban is not the lav, is the chorus. So when you're a shogeg in what's mechayiv the korban, that's it. That's considered a shogeg. When he adds once you're a shogeg, now the mitzvah is nischayev through bringing a korban on your shogeg. So you either bring right. So now you have another mechayev, a mechayev for the mitzvah. Okay, now as we said, there's a massive difference in Shuas Apikot and Shuas Eidus. The Shuas Bitui. Shuas Bitui, you only have a shogeg. So it could be, in other words, take away the chorus that makes the shogeg. The shogeg makes the shogeg. The fact that you are a shogeg. Meaning, what is the shogeg? Chayiv chorus of chayiv lahavi lechatas al sheyigasa. In other words, there's a mechayiv that makes a shogeg. Here is the chatas makes the shogeg. That's what the shogeg is. The shogeg is that you mechuyev to make a korban. What's the gather of shogeg? That the shogeg is mechuyev to make a korban. So the korban, the chiyuv korban is the definition of the shogeg. There's nothing else to make it a shogeg. In other words, there is no chorus to create the shogeg, the mechayiv, the shogeg, the korban. The only things will have the shogeg and the korban to go hand in hand. And that's why Rashi doesn't care about this. Whereas by Shuas Havigad and Shuas Eidus, they're chayv b'meza too. Has nothing to do with shogeg. That's why when the Gemara says Chalat Kula, Rashi Taisus aren't bothered by this because, of course, later they are bothered by a different Gemara. That's what the Rosh was asking. So that's what he means. She has korban einish gog b'averis el shchayav no chorus. But this chorus, the mechayiv, the korban is chorus, and therefore, if you forget the mechayiv, the korban, that's a shogeg. But if there's no chorus, the mechayiv of the korban is the korban itself. Shogeg. The bringing a korban al shigosli. And if I don't know that there's a korban, that's a shogeg. Whatever was mechayiv the mitzvah before, which is to bring a korban al shigosli, is mechayiv now. The shar korbanos. You should bring a korban. You should bring a korban al shigosli. And that's why, that's what he's talking about in Perek Gimel in Hilchos Shvus. Now, okay, but we have a problem. That's good. She was between, but she was recording and she was is also the not knowing the korban is enough. So, Ulai over there, since Yechayev on it, made it also, then it's part of your einish. And just like not knowing the severity of chorus, and not knowing the severity of the einish takes away from the lav. Here is also the severity of this lav carries with it korban. So you're not knowing the severity of the lav, because here it's not just a kapara for shogeg. It's one of your einish. Which I haven't found that lotion that it's an einish, but it makes sense because it's amazing. And therefore, it's also going to be because of a different reason. It's part of the shogeg, like there it's chorus, here it's going to korban, because korban is what replaces, so to speak, but what not that replaces. It replaces the chorus. Here it's part of your averis. Befrat, how we understand korban al pi Chassidus, but that's not for now. Okay. Everybody have a great day. Sei gesund und stark. Atzloche, Rabba.